Okay, everybody. I have something really cool to tell you about. If you haven't heard yet about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain here. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one single place. Now, the way that you can do this is you got to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm, and then you can get started. It's really fun. We just switched over recently here at All2ReelToo, and I'm enjoying it so far. So be sure to check it out and let us know what you think.
Maximilian. You shouldn't have done that. He was a good man.
In, through, and beyond. In, through, and beyond.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2ReelToo. All2ReelToo. Okay. Anyways, my name is Michael E. Cohen II, and with me via technology is my good social distancing friend Matthew Haas.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. Yeah, Matthew Dr. Reinhardt Haas.
Yes, Dr. Reinhardt.
Mm-hmm.
You have a glorious beard and crazy hair.
And a red robot, yes, I do.
Yes, named Maximilian. Anyways, today on the show, we are covering the 1979 Disney classic, The Black Hole. It is the first PG-rated Disney film ever.
Oh.
Just a little, trivia there. Starred Maximilian Schell as Dr. Reinhardt, Anthony Perkins, who we know from Psycho, as Dr. Alex Durant, Robert Forster, who recently passed away, rest in peace, as Captain Dan Holland, Joseph Bottoms as Lieutenant Charles Pizer, Yvette Mimieux as Dr. Kate McRae, and Ernest Borgnine as Harry Booth. It also featured the voices of a couple people for robots. We had a robot named Vincent, who was played by Roddy McDowell, who you may know from the Planet of the Apes films. And the voice of Bob was Slim Pickens. Yep. Who you may know from...
Good name.
Yeah. Who you may know is the guy who wrote a bomb in Dr. Strangelove. Among, being a famous cowboy actor and stuff like that. But, so this movie, much like the last venture we made into crazy, silly sci-fi films, had a robot that spoke with a southern accent. So, yeah.
Yep.
Good times. So, what happened in this movie, Matt? Do you know?
Well, actually, this is kind of like the opposite of Star Crash, where there wasn't a whole lot of action, but the plot was much clearer. Whereas in Star Crash, there was a whole bunch of action, and the plot was kind of, we're not very sure what was happening. So they're basically just like on a mission to find, habitable planets for humans, and they I think they come across some other ship or something like that, and they kind of they have like some turbulence, and Vincent the robot almost gets sucked away, but he ends up doing one of his like extendable arm things and stays on top of the ship, and then they end up finding this other ship, and it's like really huge, and they almost get shot by like the defenses that are programmed for it, whatever. And then finally, we find out that the guy who is running the ship is someone that they all used to know. He was like a ship captain or something. He was always kind of like Dr. Reinhardt. He was always kind of going rogue. Like he was always going against orders to kind of go above and beyond because he had like all of these ambitions. And
he was the Rogue One. He was the Rogue One, if you will. Oh, wait, no.
Yes, he was the original Rogue One. Yes. And, it turns out, that he didn't die. He's still very much alive, and he's got a cool beard to talk about. And he's got all these robots that are working for him around the clock, just like doing random shit, like checking something. I don't know. They're just walking around, moving their hands around shit. And
looking all sci-fi.
Yeah, they got like these weird like cameras, in their faces, so that he can look pretty much, so he can have like all eyes on the ship at all times, basically. Like,
yeah.
So nothing ever gets past him. And he, reveals that he, obviously that he survived the crash or whatever, and he's got a ship positioned at like the exact right place where he, can't get sucked into a black hole or it can't get hit. So he's just like doing all of his work there, preparing to actually take his ship into a black hole, or as he would say it, in, through, and whatever the third part was.
Yeah, his ship, by the way, is called the Cygnus. Okay, so yeah, I was gonna say, are you down with the Cygnus? And I don't know why, just bad joke. Okay, anyways, so yeah, the ship was called the Cygnus, and I'm trying to, the ship that the people were on, Anthony Perkins and all them, was the Palomino. Yeah. What is a Palomino? Isn't that like an olive or something?
The Palomino, yeah. Or you can do some really weird, like, Just Friends / Black Hole, like, crossover memes, because that was the name of I forgot her, what's her name? Amy
Smart?
Shoot, I can't think of her name.
Amy Smart?
Yeah, Amy Smart's character. Yeah. Because she is smart. So you can, like, do some really weird, like, crossover memes, like the Palomino is, I don't know. I'm really stretching this, but
so just backtrack a little bit here, just so people know, the name Vincent stands for Vital Information Necessary Centralized. They were stretching with that one.
Yeah, that was a...
Yeah. So, basically what happens is, Palomino crew, after they board the ship, and then they, talk to Reinhardt, who reveals that he had spent, the past 20 years studying the black hole. And, his eventual plan is to fly the Cygnus through it. Durant, who is Anthony Perkins' character, is the only one who believes him about this, that it's possible, and he asks to go on the trip with Reinhardt. The rest of the crew is pretty suspicious of all these. There's like these faceless drones walking around who are who have human-like behavior, but are told by Reinhardt to, the crew tells the crew that they are robots.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, Ernest Borgnine's character of Booth, he sees a limping robot, and Holland at one time, that's Robert Forster's character, witnesses a robot funeral, which is weird, because robots don't have funerals,
Right.
Yeah. And he basically gets suspicious about that. He also looks around. So Robert Forster's character also looks around the old living quarters of the crew that used to be on the Cygnus, and all their like personal items and stuff are still in there, which is kind of weird. Basically, then we find out that we meet an old robot that looks kind of like Vincent, but he's old and beat up and shit. And his name is Old Bob. That's the Slim Pickens character. Yeah. And Bob stands for Biostation Battalion. Yep. Some creativity here.
This was the era, I guess, of like thinking it was funny to have like robots with southern accents for some reason. Like,
yeah,
they just thought like, it'd be funny if we had like this really advanced, whatever robot, but then we give them the voice of like some southern person. Get it? It's like, yeah, it's not really funny though. But
yeah, well, I mean, I guess like C-3PO was originally supposed to sound like a car salesman.
Oh wow!
But George Lucas liked Anthony Daniels' voice, so he ended up using the, posh British accent that he had. So.
Yeah, I can't imagine him sounding like anything else.
No. Yeah, he's supposed to sound like some kind of almost like a car salesman from the Bronx or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which wouldn't have been any better than Slim Pickens. And it would have been even slimmer Pickens. But so we have what happens next? Do you remember it all, Matt?
Yeah, I think so. Like the dude, the one guy finds the guy limping. He thought, that's kind of weird. The guy's limping, and he found a garden, like a really big garden that he's growing all kinds of food, and then he said it was only he was only meant for one person, but it was like a huge area. It's obviously meant to grow, and the one guy, he's got converted. He's always trying to find excuses for him, oh, that's good for oxygen and that's good for whatever type of thing, because he's on his side, and he's kind of trying to convince the others by doing this sort of middle ground thing, trying to appeal to them, I know he's unorthodox and I know he's a little eccentric, but he's got a good idea or whatever, type of thing. And it just the behavior just gets more and more suspicious, because I forgot how they found this out exactly, but it's because the guy just took off was it the guy, or was it I don't remember now who did it, but someone took off
basically the reason that they found out that things were going on bad was because of Bob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Old Bob was telling them.
Yeah, old Bob told Vincent about it, and then Bob and Vincent told a couple of the crew members about it. Yeah. Okay, now I'm starting to remember. And also too, I forgot her name, but she's got this weird psychic connection with Vincent. Oh yeah, she could read his thoughts or something. What's that? Yeah. Yvette's character, what's her name?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I was gonna look it up, but it doesn't matter. Anyways,
it doesn't matter.
Well, Dr. Kate McCree.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah. Bob and Vincent tell them what's going on. Do you want to take a quick break, Matt, and then come back and finish the I don't know what you want to call it, the greatness of this story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That's good. That's good for me.
We'll be right back. Hi, folks. This is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
manager Matthew Haas.
You got promoted?
Yes.
Damn it. Okay, anyways, folks, do you like the show Superstore? I don't know. I asked the folks and nobody's answering me.
Because they're not here.
Oh,
but we love
damn it. Yeah, we love it, though. Okay, folks, if you like it as much as we do, you're really going to like the Super Story podcast, which is a podcast where Matthew and I go episode by episode and give our little opinions and thoughts on it. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. Just depends on how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And, so if you like this podcast and like our little crazy banter,
then you should definitely check this out. Or I might get sad. And when I get sad, it gets pretty sad.
Yeah,
so
I can't deal with him when he's sad.
No one can really. So
yeah. So check out Super Story Podcast right here where you get this podcast, Super Story Podcast.
A respectable minister takes charge and leads head on.
Minister Dobble Trike may be the foremost politician of textiles.
As a minister, I have the utmost sensitivity to these situations, and if anyone's sensibilities were harmed, I would have sensed it.
But his petty ambitions will almost certainly lead us to unknown danger.
How dare you, sir! Unknown danger has its potential for profit. It's exotic.
You can hear Minister Trike and his antics in the radio comedy Magus Elgar.
Visit MagusElgar.com to download your copy today.
We are back.
Back to the bone something.
We're back in Black Hole. Wait, what?
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Anyways. So, where were we in this wonderful Disney story?
Well, we were with Vincent and old Bob telling the dark secrets of the fortress and everything that went down decades ago because Dr. Kate's father... Yeah, down in the Cygnus, down with the Cygnus, into Cygnus, yes. And then Cygnus is going to go through a black hole. But, and then, I don't know, and then they come out as, I don't know, Crisscross. Now I'm just dropping old names, but like, okay. And then,
Are we talking Crisscross, like Crisscross will make you jump? Or Christopher Cross, like, you know, Moon in New York City sort of guy?
No, I met the rap group with the two brothers, the twins. I think they were.
No, they weren't twins, but yeah, they were. They were friends. There was
they were twins. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was Mac Daddy and Daddy Mac, and yes, and Crisscross will make you jump. Yeah, one of them passed away sadly. Anyways,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
that's sad.
But yeah, we got a lot going on in this movie.
There's a lot of, there's really not much it's just weird stuff. So it's revealed that Dr. Kate's father, she was on the ship, and then Dr. Reinhardt told her that he died. And then they find out though that Dr. Reinhardt turned them all into like these weird robotic humanoids, I guess, who don't really have like any person. Which I'm not sure why are they doing robot funerals then if they don't have any kind of personality? That seems, did he program them to do funerals for each other? That's kind of weird, but
I don't know.
And I don't know.
It's kind of weird. I mean, the funeral thing is weird, but maybe it's some kind of residual thing inside of them or something where they feel they need to bury their dead. I don't know.
Okay, like a sort of like a habit, like a creature of habit type thing, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So, because we find that out because Anthony Perkins' character takes the mask off of one of the drones and sees that it's a human that looks kind of like a zombie. So yeah, it's kind of creepy. After Vincent had telepathically told Kate all of this stuff, and then she told him. And then we have murder in the movie.
In the Disney movie.
Yes. Maximilian, the big scary red robot, murders Anthony Perkins' character. With his...
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
Yeah. With his Swiss Army knife attachments. He's got like the blades of a blender or something coming out of him, and he uses that to kill him. He goes right through a book into his chest, and then Anthony Perkins falls to the ground. We never see any blood or anything, which it's a PG movie, so
yeah, no blood.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, I love that little slice him and dicer type of thing he's got in his belly area. He slices through a whole book, and then I love the acting though. It's like just like a Star Crash, the acting. Like right after he does that, Dr. Reinhardt goes like, we gotta remember throughout this whole movie, this guy has like basically like converted over to his cause and is like basically like being primed to be like his number one apprentice or whatever. And then his robot kills him, and he waits like 10 seconds after he's dead, and he goes, "Maximilius, you shouldn't have done that. He was a great man." Like, yeah, such emotion and passion in your voice. Like,
and the thing is, Maximilian Schell is actually a good actor who's playing Dr. Reinhardt, and it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
God.
I mean, mind you, actually, I think this whole cast are good actors because they've all, most of them have been in other things that have, you know, shown their talents. So it's just like,
right?
Yeah, it's just weird.
The dude who played the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, the guy who played the writer, he looked really familiar. I'm not sure what his name is, but like the reporter for like the newspaper or something like that. He was like a writer.
Newspaper reporter. I was confused.
Well,
was he one of the crew members?
The guy who basically. Well, yeah, he was the one that tried to sneak off by himself, and then he got killed.
Oh yeah, that was
like he had long hair.
The chubby guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, it's Ernest Borgnine. He was the star of the TV show McHale's Navy. He played McHale. He had been in he at that time was one of the like biggest stars in the world. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was it's Gem.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's like, he wasn't like, you know, Tom Cruise or anything, but he was, you know, pretty big, you know. So he was like one of the bigger, like, you know, comedy stars and stuff like that mainly. But he did do a lot of drama and some action films and stuff like that too. Yeah, look up Ernest Borgnine, great actor.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he died. At one point, right? No.
At one point.
You know, he dies later, right? Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking of a different character. Who are you talking about? The reporter? Is he?
Yeah. He tried to sneak off on his own because he pretended that he broke his leg, and then he tried to take like a jump ship off by himself, but then that exploded or something.
Oh yeah, that was Ernest Borgnine's character. Okay, just making sure. Making sure we were talking about the same guy.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we are. Anyways, yeah, so basically we got that happened or whatever. They at one point Reinhardt tried to turn Kate into one of those drones. And she was saved by Robert Forster's character, Holland. Yeah. It was like some kind of assembly line that creates these drone people. She was wrapped in some kind of foil thing like a baked potato. And she ended up getting saved by Holland. And then Holland and Pizer and her try to go escape, and then there's the point where Booth, that's Harry Booth, he ends up going onto the ship by himself at some point, and then it blows up.
Mm-hmm.
He basically what he does is, I think what he was trying to do is, they think he was trying to escape and everything, but I think his whole plan was to try to sacrifice himself and take out the Cygnus.
Oh, okay.
That's my feeling on it. I think they were misunderstanding what he was doing. That's what I thought he was doing. But because I don't think he was trying to, jump ship or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. But I could be wrong. I don't know what the intention of the writers were. Yeah. But, they, Holland and Pizer and McCrae and Vincent, they end up reaching a probe ship and they launch, only to discover controls are locked onto a flight path that takes them into the black hole at the end. Yeah, this was after, at one point, Bob was killed by Maximilian as well. And Reinhardt, because Reinhardt had ordered Maximilian to go to the probe ship thing. Yeah, but then there was like a large view screen or something, like some kind of thing falls onto Reinhardt, pinning him down. And then his lobotomized crew, they stand there motionless, and as he struggles helplessly and completely oblivious to everything that he's doing, and they don't try to help him or anything. Because they only can do what they were programmed to do.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's when Maximilian basically kills Bob. And then Maximilian is then damaged by Vincent. And he drifts out of the broken ship and into the black hole. And then that's when the three remaining people, they end up going into the black hole. You know, the name of the movie is The Black Hole, which we don't go into until like the last part of the movie. Just kind of interesting.
So
that'd be like, you know, that'd be like watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and you don't get to the Chocolate Factory until like the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Right.
So but basically then we have this like surreal heaven and hell sort of scene. It's kind of reminiscent of 2001: A Space Odyssey. It just kind of reminded me.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah. Which came out before this, so so they might have stolen that idea from that movie, probably. So basically, at the end, the probe ship is carrying Holland, Pizer, McCrae, and good old Vincent, and they emerge from a white hole and are last seen flying through space towards a planet near a bright star. I don't know if they were trying to set it up for a sequel or what, but yeah. But that's how the movie ends. It got really trippy at the end.
Yeah. It got like really trippy. Like I didn't understand the ending that much. Like so, like it looked like Reinhardt had aged like 50 years in like a span of 10 minutes. Like it looked like his hair got longer and his beard got longer, and he's just floating in space. And then Maximilian shows up, and then like he becomes Maximilian, I guess, or something.
Yeah. And
he's just like watching, like basically he looked like he's like the ruler of some like hellish realm. Like he's standing on top of some like cliff or whatever, and there's a bunch of flames, and then all the robot humanoids that he programmed are just like walking in some like procession. Is that what they're trying to say, that he's like the ruler some like hellish realm inside the black hole now or something? Or
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if it's like them trying to say he became like Lucifer or something or what. I don't know what the hell the deal was. But
yeah, I mean, I know I gather that he was like the ruler of whatever realm he's in, but was that what that was supposed to be? Like, because they went to a black hole and the black hole could take you anywhere. So is that like they just like landed on some like fire planet or something like that?
I'm assuming. I don't know. It's kind of like this because it's like I said, it's like a weird trippy, like I don't know, like the crew was on LSD when they wrote it, sort of thing.
Yeah. LS Disney. Oh God, that's terrible. Wow.
Oh
God.
LS Disney.
Yep.
It's funny because oh no, it's Elias. Never mind. I was gonna say Disney's middle name was Elias. I was gonna say Ellis, but no. Because I think there was this whole like almost like good versus evil sort of thing at the end or something, like where the crew went to heaven and he went to hell sort of thing. But why he became the leader of hell, I don't know.
Right.
I understand why his hair got long and stuff like that is because I guess he didn't age and he had been there for like 20 years.
Oh.
And I think that basically aged him or something. I don't know. That's my guess.
Okay.
I could be completely off on that, though, so I don't know. Depends on what kind of LSD they were using when they wrote it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to take a break here, Matt, and come back with some like trivia and some reviews and stuff of the movie?
Sure.
Okay. We'll be right back, folks. Hey, folks, this is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
Matthew Haas.
We just wanted to tell you about our great podcast called Super. It's called All Too Real. And on that show, what do we do, Matt?
We watch biopics and then we talk about whether or not the movie matched up with the real story or not.
So
it was a lot more exciting than that, though.
Yeah. So we analyze the real story and the real story.
Get it?
Get it?
Real.
You know? Yeah, they're spelled differently, folks. You can guess which one I said which way.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, so sometimes we have a guest, sometimes we don't. But we talk about great movies like Shattered Glass and The Social Network and Futile and Stupid Gesture, among others. Those are some of the ones that we've covered so far, and we're going to cover a lot more. So please subscribe on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your great, fun podcasts. And be sure to share it with your friends.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
And make sure you're not afraid to get all too real. Bye-bye. And we are back to the black hole. Back. Anyways, so the let's look at some trivia here.
Yeah.
Yep. Trivia. Yeah, I mean, first off, people think this movie was a cash grab from Star Wars, which it kind of was, but kind of wasn't. This movie was actually in development for a while before Star Wars even came out. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just wanted to also point out one thing, too, to make you think about things, which I just find really weird, is this movie came out the same year as Alien. Yet Alien seems so much more advanced in like its storytelling and stuff. I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird to think sometimes when movies come out the same year and you're like, they look like they're from different eras.
Yeah, totally.
So, at the time, this guy named John Hughes, not the director John Hughes that we, know from The Breakfast Club and whatnot, he created that green grid sequence that appears in the opening titles. At the time, it was the longest computer graphics sequence ever to appear in a film.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, this is Disney's first PG-rated movie. Neither Roddy McDowall nor Slim Pickens are credited for their voice work in the film in either the opening or closing sequences. Vincent was originally supposed to have more elaborate electronic eyes, based on an electronic stock ticker type billboard, which would have given him greater range of facial expressions, but they didn't work properly, so the effect was abandoned. According to press at the time, the film's score was the first digitally recorded soundtrack. And the score was done by John Barry, who also did the score for Star Crash. Yeah. This film and Star Trek, the motion picture, both that came out in 1979, same year as Alien as well. I believe Alien came out that year. I could be wrong, but whatever. Were the last two Hollywood films to include an overture. Once a common feature of major studio releases. The overture for this film is usually cut from television broadcasts of the film, but it is included on the DVD release and the Blu-ray release, and when they show it on Turner Classic Movies and on Disney Plus, where we watched it. The special effects team originally wanted to use the Dystraflex camera system, which is the first computer-controlled camera created for Star Wars: A New Hope, from ILM, and but the price and rental terms were unacceptable, so Disney created their own version, which they named ACES, which stood for Automated Camera Effects System. I think the same people who named that also named the robots in the movie. I'm just guessing. Yeah, this was regarded as the last big special effects production to be made under the old studio system. All the elaborate effects were created with the Disney studio and not farmed out to outside special effects companies like is common today. Yeah, they had to do all of the dialogue again in ADR, with only the exception of a couple lines, because on the set the audio wasn't recorded properly, much like Star Crash. Except for in this film, everybody did their own voice. The Gary Nelson, the director, was not satisfied with the way that the model shop made Bob, saying that the robot did not look battered enough. He went to the clay model they were using for reference and hit it several times with a baseball bat. They built the new robot model based on that. Yeah, Alan Dean Foster, who wrote the novelization of the film, was so appalled by the bad science in the script that he provided a list of changes to the producers which he felt would improve the story. Upset by this, the Disney brass actually called a meeting to decide what to do. Yeah, They made toys for this movie, but they're very rare and hard to find now, which is kind of interesting. I would love to get my hands on a little Vincent or something, or Maximilian.
Yeah.
Cygnus is actually the name of the constellation where the first known black hole was discovered in 1964.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they named the ship that. Famous sci-fi writer Harlan Ellison was briefly brought on as a scientific consultant on the film. He was fired on his first day before lunch was over because he pitched an animated porno movie starring Disney characters. Roy Edward Disney was sitting at the next table, heard everything, and had Ellison fired on the spot. Ellison insists he was simply joking, but others who were there say he was talking about it sincerely.
Wow.
Yeah. If you don't know anything about Harlan Ellison, look him up. He's an interesting guy. But he's written some of the most, like famous sci-fi novels and TV scripts and movie scripts and like history. So, the Sentry robot costumes were later used in Steven Leisberger's test reel for the movie Tron, which came out 3 years later. The film contains over 550 visual effects shots, including 150 matte paintings. They're not paintings of you, Matt.
Oh, okay.
Just letting you know. In case you were watching the movie and thought there might have been paintings of you in it.
Yeah, I didn't see me.
Yeah. Yeah. Another last one. The Yvette Mimieux was given a short and curly hairstyle to make the scenes where she appeared weightless seem more convincing, since longer hair would have flowed about in zero gravity. So she was actually in previous movies. She was in the movie most famously Time Machine. Which is actually one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. The original Time Machine, not the early 2000s remake.
Yeah.
Which is an okay movie too, but yeah, she was in that, and I remember having a crush on her as a kid, which is weird. But but no, I love the George Pal Time Machine movie. So, do you want me to read some user reviews from our good old friends at IMDb?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, here's the first one I'm going to read here, Matt.
Okay.
I just like the headline that the guy gave. This is a review from Gislif from April 13th, 1999, which is around, I'd say around Easter.
Yeah, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. For our listeners, I got a theory about people watching these kind of movies during holiday.
Yes. The headline for this review is "Middle of the Road, You're Soaking in It." This movie does fall absolutely dead center in the middle of the road for me. On the one hand, you have decent FX, great model work, some good performances, Maximilian Schell as the Nemo-like bad guy, and Perkins as the obsessed acolyte, a willingness to get down and gritty, witness Perkins' on-screen death. Yeah, it wasn't really dirty. Anyways, and some nice concepts. On the other hand, you have some bad performances. Borgnine and wooden-faced Forster. Unnecessarily anthropomorphized robots. No doubt inspired by Star Wars and Disney's desire to lighten the flick a bit. Some sloppy science and a very slow plot. It's good, but to me, it just balances right at the 4 to 6 rating, depending on my mood when I catch it. 5 stars. Yes.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
The robots were humanoids, so that's why they. Did he not even understand the movie he was watching?
I think he was talking about when he was talking about anthropomorphized. I can't ever say that word. Robots. He was talking about Bob and Vincent.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, here's another one. This is from Pliskin 4. Well, I think we've read reviews from before, actually. I'm not sure, though. Anyways, it's 10 out of 10. A true a true science fiction masterpiece. This is from February 24th of 1999. In a day when garbage like Independence Day and Fifth Element are considered good sci-fi, it's refreshing to see renewed interest in the overlooked classic The Black Hole. I have loved this movie ever since I first saw it in 1979. Is it a Star Wars ripoff? Of course. So what? It is still a classic in every sense of the word. Great performances and a script that is actually thought-provoking. It is not only a morality tale, but some first-class adventure. How many sci-fi films today have that? Finally, the visual effects are as stunning today as they were 20 years ago. Now 40 years ago, because this review is actually, because this review was written 21 years ago. The shot of the giant meteor rolling down the length of the Cygnus towards our heroes remains one of the greatest FX pieces of all time. I, for one, can't wait for the DVD of this movie to come out. With all of the Star Wars hype going on these days, it's time for this classic to have its day in the sun, too. 10 out of 10.
Okay, well, was he trying to be wrong about everything in that review? Because he was. Okay, it's not a Star Wars ripoff. The plot has nothing similar to Star Wars. I mean, if the only similarity to be in Star Wars is that you're in space, then okay, I guess any movie that's in space is and you have a couple Star Wars.
And you have a couple of androids that are funny.
Yeah, but people were doing that even before Star Wars. So I mean, by that logic, Star Wars copied off them. So
exactly. I don't know. There's a yeah. I mean, it's definitely not a Star Wars wannabe. If anything, it kind of rips off like they one of the reviews that I just read talked about Nemo. It kind of rips off 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It is very similar, which was made by Disney as well, which I haven't seen in years. I should watch that movie. Anyways, it's actually a good classic, but it's a very similar plot, except for it takes place underwater instead of in space.
Right.
Because basically Reinhardt is Nemo. Captain Nemo, not the little fish guy. From another Disney movie.
Yeah.
Disney Pixar.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I think that's all I'm going to read here, Matt. Any final thoughts here on this film? Like, would you recommend it to anybody or anything?
No, I was thinking about that question last night because I knew that you were going to ask me it, but I don't know. Like with Star Crash and stuff, it was like Star Crash was so bad, but it was funny because it was so bad. This movie just was kind of boring to me, so there's really not much. I mean, like, I guess like you could watch it for like a sense of history, like of like how movies have like evolved over time. Like, you know, if you're like into that kind of thing, like you just want to learn more about, you know, how sci-fi movies have evolved since, you know, over the past 40 years, then I guess, you know, it would be okay for that. But like, as far as like just watching it for pleasure or even like in a group setting, like, I don't know. I just wasn't really.
Yeah, it's definitely not one of these like Plan 9 from outer space sort of movies that you can watch with a group and make fun of.
Yeah. It just seems there's really nothing to make fun of because for one thing, it's a very, very serious movie. I mean, there's not a whole lot of humor in it, and it is an interesting story. You know, I kind of like that, the whole aspect of like time standing still and the kind of weirdness of it, of like, you know, turning his crew into sort of these like zombified robotic humanoids. It's kind of like almost like a horror type of element to it.
Yeah. They've been talking for years. There's been in like development hell a remake of this that Disney's been trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I would really like to see that, like with a modern twist, like maybe, you know, like maybe a horror. I mean, because it kind of is like a haunted house movie in space sort of thing. You know,
mm-hmm.
like it's kind of more of a horror movie than it kind of portrays itself as. It's because I think that the story is like really good. I think it just needs tightening up on the script, and it would be cool to see it with modern effects and different things like that. I actually liked the movie,
mm-hmm.
but it is boring. I'll give you that. I think I like what it was trying to be more than what it actually was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, the movie does have a lot of like it's got like some Star Wars elements in it. It's got some Alien elements in it, which came out that year, 2001 elements. It's got different things. It's like it's kind of all over the place, but I do like the story. It's just a lot of it is just drug out dialogue, which is kind of boring to modern audiences. At the time, maybe it would have played better, but it did. I mean, people try to call this movie a bomb, but it actually did make like $10 million at the box office in 1979, which is a lot of money back then. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Plus, too, this was during the phase of Disney where they weren't doing so well for a while.
Yeah.
And, you know, like there was like I don't know how many years. I think it was like 15 or 20 years where Disney was kind of faltering when it came to making movies, and then they made like Little Mermaid, and that really was a huge hit. Aladdin was just even a bigger hit, you know.
And Beauty and the Beast,
it just kept coming, like Lion King, Mulan. Yeah.
It's when they had what they call the Renaissance.
Yeah,
and that kind of saved Disney. I mean, because basically that was the point where you had people like Jeffrey Katzenberg and other people like that came in and kind of saved the company. And Michael Eisner was the president when that Renaissance all happened. At this point, Ron Miller was still the president of the company, and who was Walt's son-in-law, and basically the last kind of Disney family member to be the head of the company. And he wasn't well received. I mean, he didn't do a great job. He was a nice guy and all, but he didn't do a great job of running the company, and he kind of didn't know what he was doing in a lot of ways, in my personal opinion. I've got this weird obsession with reading the history of the Walt Disney Company. So, and watching videos and listening to podcasts about it. So I know a lot about the history of all the presidents of the company. But, yeah. So, it's, Ron Miller was good at what he did, but he wasn't great. He was passable, but he basically kind of almost killed the company. Was eventually pushed out of the company too. So, by the board. Look up, there's this guy called Rob Plays on YouTube. He's got an interesting little history of the Disney company and different things like that on his channel. Bunch of really cool Disney videos in general. But he had this one all about how the company almost went bankrupt and got bought and everything. And it's an interesting little watch if you're into that stuff. Anyways, don't know why I'm going off on that tangent, but I would say I recommend this movie from a historical prospect, like you were saying. And I mean, the effects in the movie for the time were actually pretty good. I think but it is interesting to compare it to a lower budget movie that came out the same year, like Alien. I think it would be an interesting companion piece to watch this and Alien at the same time, or back to back.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Because Alien was a much lower budget movie, but somehow looks bigger budget. Or feels like it or something, you know what I mean? It feels more like a modern sci-fi movie as opposed to this, which feels like a old school Disney sci-fi movie, which it is.
Well, that's probably what it is. Then it's just the different styles. Because I haven't seen Alien in a long time. I don't think I've ever actually seen all of it at once. Yeah. But I've noticed just by watching it, the effects, because you got all that mist and stuff, just kind of lends this very eerie kind of thing to it. But yeah, this movie does feel kind of like you're on a set, an actual set. I noticed that a lot about a lot of these old sci-fi movies where it's the spaceship literally just looks like a set, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of the difference. It's almost like watching a stage play or a 3-camera setup sitcom or something, as opposed to watching Law and Order or something where it feels real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, I would recommend it just for the historical aspect, and maybe watch it with Alien afterwards, which is kind of interesting now too, because both of those movies are now owned by Disney.
Disney owns everything.
Yes, but now that they own Fox, they own the Alien franchise. So,
oh wow,
yeah. Anyways, I think that's it for now. Make sure you check out our links in our description of this. We've got links to buy some merchandise for us. Check out our Patreon. I'm also linking. There's a new, really cool, high quality Cullen Park Productions T-shirt you can get from a local Toledo company called Jupe Mode. You can get it for $20. It's really cool. They have the best quality shirts out there. And with that, $10 of the purchase goes to help this podcast and films that we're making with Cullen Park Productions, and another $10 goes to help support a local business and keep them in business during these crazy times. So do that.
Yeah.
And yeah. Besides that, anything else, Matt?
No, not really.
All right. Well, everybody, stay safe. Wash your hands. keep 6 feet away, all that good stuff.
All that jazz.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to All2ReelToo podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.